Today on Real Pilates, we're going to talk about stress. Stress. What is stress technically? Stress is how you react to a situation, usually that you feel that you can't control or manage, and that creates stress. As a species, there are 4 things that we need that are primitive needs for our survival. The first is energy, form of energy, food, water. The second is a protection, roof over your head. The third is reproduction, which can also cause stress. And then the last thing that you need to survive is the ability to adapt or adaptation. These are 4 things that we need as a species to survive. Now, there are different levels of stress. There's individual stress, like a heartbreak, like a grievance. There is stress as part of a group, like let's say we had a hurricane, we had a flood. There is stress as part of a community. Let's say you're part of a religious group, you're part of an ethnic group, and there's a stress that happens within that environment, and that's like community stress. And then there's the society stress, like we had that stress, everyone with the coronavirus, which affected the whole world. So within these 4 levels of stress, there are different volumes of stress. Acute stress is when you have sharp stress that's short. It can be a few minutes, it can be a few hours or a few days. It comes, it peaks, and then it goes. That's acute stress, which is still not good for you. Then there's the chronic stress, which is less good for you, which is stress that is prolonged days, months, even years of chronic stress really can break you down. And chronic stress can be caused by health issues, financial issues. People that are caregivers usually have a lot of chronic stress when you're taking care of someone that is not well. Also, if you have a severe physical ailment that you're battling, that can add more stress to your sickness. The main thing to always remember in periods of stress is that if you remember that you came into the situation, there is going to be a coming out. The part of stress that is damaging is when you find yourself in a situation that you feel that you have no way out. And the thing to remember always during a stressful period is that there's always a way out, there's always hope, and there's always a choice. Albeit the choice may be between 2 things you don't like, but when you're stressed, you always have a stress choice and a way to relieve that stress. We're going to talk about some quick tips you can do for stress in the next coming days. This is Pilates Master Nikki, and I'll see you in class. Today on Real Pilates, as we talk about stress, we're going to talk about the different stages of stress. So there is stage number 1, which is the alarm stage, which the hormones start to surge in your body, and that hormonal surge temporarily suppresses your immune system, suppresses your regenerative aspects of your body that regenerates the cells and that rebuilds you. All of that gets put on hold for the emergency. That's stage 1. Stage 2 is the resistance stage, and that's the stage where you try to adapt to what's going on and figure out exactly how you're going to get out of the situation. The third stage of stress is the exhaustion stage. That's the stage that starts to create systemic inflammation of the body, of the whole body. And remember that inflammation is a breakdown of the DNA. It is a lack of ability for cellular regeneration. So prolonged periods of stress that give you that fatigue are things that we want to avoid. Stress in itself, sometimes like that stress of you're walking, you hear somebody walking behind you, it's dark and creepy like that. That kind of stress like that is a stress to help you prevent danger. And that kind of stress is productive for the body, that you're on alert. When you have a stressful moment, the hormones pumped in your body, all of your 5 senses become more heightened. Your sight, your smell, and your hearing become better enhanced so that you can get out of that situation. But sometimes you are stressed and you don't even realize that you're stressed. So here are some symptoms that you may say like, oh, that means that you can be stressed? Yeah. So if you have racing heart, if you have accelerated breathing, that you start to accelerate that breathing, these are symptoms that you have released some of those hormones that are going to cause you to have a stress symptom in your entire body. But little things like biting your nails, grinding your teeth. You may see in people around you irritability, crankiness. Those are symptoms of stress. Also, your appetite. Are you all of a sudden eating everything in sight, or have you skipped 2 meals now? So that food thingy is a symptom of stress. Chronic fatigue, headaches. These are some symptoms of stress. You can even have things like heartburn, indigestion. All of a sudden you're sitting there, it's not even hot. You start to sweat like you've eaten 10 jalapenos. So these are symptoms of stress that you may not realize that there is a situation inside of you that you are starting to have a under pressure feeling that may not even surface to your conscious mind. Breathing is one of the main ways that you can quickly quench the thirst, that stress, and help your body relax temporarily. So one of the best ways to do the breathing, it's easy. It's a box, 4s, it's a square. Let's say you pick the number 4. Through the nose, you breathe in for 4. You hold the breath for 4. You exhale for 4. And then you stay 4 seconds before the next breath. So just that box breathing. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, stay without breath, and then breathe in. And you just do about 4 of those. And that will all of a sudden bring your stress level down. We're going to be talking about more ways to combat stress in up-and-coming classes. This is Pilates Master Nikki, and I'll see you in class. Today on Real Pilates, we're going to continue to talk about stress, some symptoms that may be silent symptoms of stress that you may be experiencing and not realizing that you're under stress. So here's one that really surprised me. Itchy skin. Sometimes you get that itchy skin and right away you're reaching for some over-the-counter topical. But itchy skin is a symptom, can be a symptom of stress, rashes and all of that. We talked about the heartburn and indigestion, of course, can be caused. You say, oh, you're giving me an ulcer from stress. But you may even have things like muscle aches, problems sleeping, that muscle fatigue, and overall general fatigue. But here's one that's even more serious. High blood pressure can be caused from overload and chronic stress, and so can type 2 diabetes from prolonged stress. Shortness of breath, difficulty breathing is another symptom. Blurred vision. Yeah, because that blood pressure is starting to go up. Obviously, that clenching of the teeth and grinding of the teeth, but just loss of sense of humor, loss of interest. Like, you play tennis or you like to go to spinning class and all of a sudden you have no interest. Sometimes that stress can just quelch all of your other fun activities, like sex. Yeah, the libido can get pushed down when you're under stress because the body's not thinking about reproducing when you're fighting for survival. The one easy thing to do is to change your environment. So if you're having a stressful moment and you're at the desk, you're at work, it's just stepping outside for a few minutes can change your whole mental attitude. Closing your eyes and just visualizing something that's peaceful to you, like an ocean, a beautiful green field, a nice deep, deep green forest, some water flowing in a beautiful waterfall, something that you enjoy, maybe seeing some people in your mind surfing. You get what I'm saying? Come out of the center of where you are for a second and go into a state of relaxation take a mental vacation, or do a Pilates class. This is Pilates Master Nikki, and I'll see you in class. So today on Real Pilates, as we talk about stress, we're going to talk about ways to relieve the stress, finally, through things that you can eat or drink. So here's a little list. Green tea. Now, I know you're saying, what? Green tea has caffeine. But the green tea has L-theanine, which helps relieve anger. It relieves the anger hormone. So bring your boss some green tea. Cuddling with a pet, my favorite. Science has proven that petting an animal, cuddling an animal, and having some time with an animal can bring down your blood pressure and help you reduce stress. Chewing gum, yes, reduces anxiety, and chewing gum has been proven to lower cortisol levels. Chewing that gum, although the dentist may severely disagree. Here's my favorite, chocolate. Yes, chocolate, especially the dark chocolate, but chocolate, one square, 1.4 ounces, I don't know what size square that is, especially dark. It helps regulate that stress hormone known as cortisol, and it helps stabilize the metabolism. Little bit of chocolate now, don't go wild on me. Journaling, writing down why you're stressed helps you get it out and vent and helps you reduce the stress level. If you have a spoonful of honey, it's naturally good for the skin. It's a natural moisturizer. It's a natural antibiotic, but it helps reduce inflammation in the brain, and it helps to fight depression and anxiety. Just a spoonful of honey, not sugar. Yes, it makes the attitude be happier. Nothing better than soaking in a warm bath. Unless it's 95 degrees and you're sweating, yeah. But warm baths are good for relaxing the body because they're vasodilators. Meditation, of course. Meditation is just coming out of that situation you're in and stepping into a calming environment. So you can visualize, like I said before, a landscape, a seashore, or you can visualize and focus on something that makes you happy. Exercising absolutely does, because it builds that feel-good hormone in the body. Those endorphins are released. Exercise is a great way to reduce the stress biochemically in the body, and also physically by exerting and moving that body. It takes to release some of that stress out of the body. Taking a nice walk, closing your eyes for 30 seconds, and here's my other favorite, having somebody rub your feet or rolling your feet, if you don't have anyone handy, over a golf ball because it's all nubby and bumpy, a tennis ball, or even a bottle of water, a small little bottle of plastic, that frozen bottle of water. That cooling sensation on the feet helps relieve stress. This is Pilates Master Nikki, your de-stressor, and I'll see you in class. Today on Real Pilates, we're going to talk about some things you can do to release the stress that are a little bit more physical. So we talked about the feet. The feet have a lot of points on there. Rubbing the feet, having somebody give you a foot massage, obviously getting a massage, but rolling things on the feet. So it's handy if you're at work to keep like a little tennis ball or a golf ball underneath the desk to take off your shoe and roll your feet around on it. Physically squeezing those stress balls helps you release a hormone that helps you lower that stress. Of course, talking to a friend and explaining your stress helps you sometimes relieve the burden, except that your friend now becomes stressed. So counting backwards from like 67 takes your mind off of the thing that's stressing you out temporarily, and it helps refocus the brain, and it starts to calm the nervous system. Parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, how one is the brake and one is the accelerator of stress. Listening to music can also help calm you down. Now, interesting enough, if you're having stress in your life because of a situation, if you're not getting enough sleep, that lack of sleep can help accelerate and magnify the stress. Eating good foods things that are wholesome, that are good for you, fruits, vegetable, whole grains, and fish, always are going to help the body deal with the stress. Sometimes if you visualize the solution, so let's say I'm all stressed out, I have to give a big speech, oh my God, I have to film something for the class, oh, I hate being on camera. Practicing it in your mind, rehearsing it, and seeing it happen will help you relieve the stress. If you're stressing about, let's say, getting a loan, in your mind, see yourself signing that loan document. See it already done. Don't worry about all the little details. Just see yourself at the end doing the thing that is stressing you, having accomplished it with success. And that will trick your brain into thinking it's already happened. Remember we talked about the conscious and the subconscious mind, how there's that little line between them that gets blurred. If you can convince yourself and see the situation as if it had already happened, then your brain says, oh, it happened and it was a success, and therefore the stress is taken out of the equation. Good little trick, huh? This is Pilates Master Nikki. I've got plenty of tricks for you, and I'll see you in class. Today on Real Pilates, we're going to give you the chemical breakdown of what happens when you become stressed. So, the amygdala part of your brain, that is the emotional part of your brain, sends a signal to the hypothalamus, which is the control center of your brain. That control center of your brain sends another text message to your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system. So your nervous system has two parts, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is the gas pedal of stress, and that lifts your blood pressure, it lifts the heart rate, it lifts your breathing rate, it gives you that release of hormones that come out. So your security that's threatened sends a signal after it goes through all of those things, and the hormones of your on your adrenals start to release adrenaline, and then that starts another cascade of hormones that end up with that cortisol being released. When you have a lot of cortisol, then epinephrine, I know, bear with me, gets sent out into the body, and all of those hormones, as they become elevated because that gas pedal is being pushed, creates an imbalance of serotonin in the body, and that's what leads to difficulty of getting good sleep, and that's what starts to slow the digestion, and it triggers and stores fat in the body because you're under stress. The body says, I don't know if we're going to have food tomorrow, so your body will store fat because you are stressed. And so this is when you say, oh, I have high cortisol, I have stress, I'm gaining weight. It's a whole chemical reaction that has to deal with digestion, not that just the cortisol makes you store fat, but it makes you store abdominal fat, which we talked about in earlier months. That abdominal fat gets packed in between your organs, and you can't lipo that out. And that abdominal fat now creates a whole downward spiral of slowing down the metabolic rate, of stressing the body more, of bringing the abdominal out. It stresses the heart, and so on and so forth. So that sympathetic nervous system is the gas pedal that does all of this. The parasympathetic is the one that we need to appeal to, that is the brake that will help stop this stress. So when you have that prolonged stress, the HPA axis, which is just a combination of the pituitary, the adrenal, and the hypothalamus glands, gets sent off into space, and that's what starts that whole raging of hormones in the body. Now, I'm not even adding the hormones that can happen if you're having PMS and then stress. Oh, watch out. Yeah. So the parasympathetic nerve is going to be the one that is the brake. You have to bring the emotions in, and the key to this is really the breath that will give a signal to the heart and to the brain, because the heart and the breath work together. The heart is hung on the ninth rib. It's the only organ that is not laying. And hanging on the heart is the diaphragm. So those two, the breath and the heart, work together. So if you start to slow the breathing down, it will slow the heart rate down, which will bring the blood pressure down, which will stop the surges of hormones. So the breath is going to be super important, because when you are in a sense of altered stress, you are altering the equilibrium of your body in a state that you're supposed to be in homeostasis, that your body's just humming along. So that altered stress shuts down all the good things in your body and can lead to muscle loss, headaches, and all kinds of sickness and disease. So it's crucial that you get your stress under control. And we're going to talk about that coming up next. So there are some wonderful things called adaptogens, and I'm going to give you a list of primary and secondary ones that are really going to help you combat stress, along with the other things we've talked about. This is Pilates Master Nikki, your stress reducer, and I'll see you in. Today on Real Pilates, we're going to talk about survival, but I want you not to just live surviving. I want you to live thriving. We talked about the prolonged stress, how it depletes the body and it stops all the rebuilding of your body. Prolonged stress will accelerate aging of the body, and that is not acceptable. So we talked about the things that you can eat, the foods and stuff like that, which are important. Things like cherries that are totally anti-inflammatory for the body. You can eat cherries, dark green leafy vegetables. All of that stuff are good to help you with dealing with stress. But there is a syndrome of people that are addicted to stress because they are adrenaline junkies and they crave that stress and they don't even realize it. But you need to do an assessment of your life, like you love those deadlines, you love that. You need to make sure that you're getting proper nutrition, proper rest, proper exercise, and if you start to use adaptogens, it will help your body deal with that stress, because we cannot eliminate stress totally, because stress is part of life. But it's how you let stress affect you that's going to determine the quality of your life so that you can be thriving and not just surviving. Adaptogens are herbs that have been clinically proven to help the body handle the loads of stress and not let the stress deplete and break you down to the levels that it will if left unassisted. So in the family of adaptogens, there are 3 groups, but let's just call it 2 basic groups. The first group is a group of primary adaptogens that on their own, if you take just one daily, will help that body for stress. The secondary adaptogens are adaptogens that you can use in combination with the primary ones, and then the last are the helpers of the adaptogens. Now, I'm going to give you some, but there are many. So, adaptogens that are primary, and these are the ones that I want you to write it down. You can replay this video, that really help with metabolic issues. This helps you build muscle. This helps you build your metabolism to burn more fat. Okay? And here are 3 that I'm going to give you today. The first one is Ajunga. A-J-U-G-A. And this adaptogen helps reset hormonal levels. The next is, bear with me, Rhaptofonticilium. I'm going to spell it for you. R-H-A-P-O-N-T-I-C-U-M. I totally can't pronounce that. Rhaptoponicilium. That one there in particular helps you build muscle mass and retain bone density. And these are just natural herbs. You can get them. Always get herbs that are naturally expelled. The third one I'm giving you today is Pantocrine. P-A-N-T-O-C-R-I-N-E. You don't need to take all of these. You can cycle these and say, okay, these are the 3 that Nikki gave me. I'm going to take 1 for this month, Next month, I'll get another one and do a rotation so that you give your body fuel to fight the stress of daily living. I'm going to give you the rest in up-and-coming classes. This is Pilates Master Nikki. See you in class. Today on Real Pilates, we're going to continue to talk about the adaptogens. So the adaptogens are natural herbs that help the body deal with the stress of life. Adaptogens lay a foundation of strength so that the body can recenter and rebuild, especially the central nervous system and the immune and DNA regenerative process of the body. As you know, stress, even temporary stress, halts all the good things. The rejuvenation of the body, the rebuilding of the body, the boosting of the immune system gets put on hold every time you get stressed. Adaptogens will help you. So I gave you 3 last time that are really good for the metabolic body, but I'm going to give you some other primary adaptogens that can really help you with stress. You don't have to take all of them, you can cycle them. One that you may know of is rhodiola. Rhodiola is especially good for energy and having sustained energy. Ashtwanga, Ashwanga, Ashwanga, primary adaptogen. Eleuthero is also fantastic. Asian ginseng or American ginseng. These are primary adaptogens. And then one that is really good for lowering cortisol, I can't say it, it's Schwishsandra. I'll spell it. SCHI and then SANDRA. These are primary adaptogens that are strong, that are fantastic, that have no side effects, that help heal the body. Some of the secondary ones, so I do some primary and I layer secondary and assisters so that I'm covered. Holy basil is fantastic. The mushrooms that I talk about all the time, like Raji mushrooms, cordyceps mushrooms, porga mushrooms, all are very good. Wild yam root, the cordyceps, which are more mushrooms, excellent. Royal jelly, you get the little file that goes in the refrigerator, little spoon under the tongue in the morning. It's like an itty bitty little gram spoon. Once a day, you can do that for a month. Royal jelly is phenomenal. So go to Kolua, you may know what that is really good to help you recover and to help you tolerate spikes of emotions. Oh. There are all types of stressors that stress the body, not just emotional stressors. There are environmental ones from synthetic food preservatives, food colorants, food deodorants. Yes, they put deodorants in a lot of shitty olive oil. Did I say the S word? Yes. And so there's all kinds of toxicity in food. Read your labels. High fructose corn syrup, glucose, all these artificial colorings, monosodium glutamate. If you can't read it or spell it, let's say that, then you don't want to eat it. All of those things stress the body. So the adaptogens help you regenerate, repair, and revitalize. Some foods that are phenomenal, I'm going to add some more to that list. The cherries are anti-inflammatory. Grapes, but you have to eat the skin, and the seeds. They are super important. They are a natural tonic for the liver. Grapes. Anything that's a berry, okay? So, the bilberries are good for your eyes and for night vision, but they're also amazing antioxidant. All the berries, strawberries, cranberries, blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. They're super low in sugar, super good for you for stress and antioxidants. The cranberries in particular are very good for the thyroid, which help form the HPA axis, which is a whole chain in the body that gets tripped when you get stressed. So I highly recommend adaptogens. Look them up. There are primary ones. You don't have to go crazy on them, just taking a couple of them, but make sure that you take them every day. This is Pilates Master Nikki, and I will see you stress-free in class. Yes, I will.